Welcome to Strength for Single Moms podcast. Here we aim to grow spiritually from faith to faith, strength to strength, and glory to glory, to be fruitful and good stewards of all that God has given us so that we can best care for each other.
Welcome to Strength for Single Moms podcast. My name is Gina Kemp, and we are back with you today. I am here with my good friend Samantha Reed, and she's here to talk to us today about finances and getting out of debt and building a savings. And we have a whole list of questions that we're going to run through with her, and she's quite knowledgeable on the subject. And so, Samantha, thank you for being here. We're so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you.
Can you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into all of the money talk?
Sure. So my name is Samantha, like Gina stated, and I am a single mother to one boy, Michael. He's 9 years old. I am a residential property appraiser for the local government, and my background is in finance and economics.
Oh, wow. So you understand all this stuff.
Yes.
That's great. Well, I feel like this topic hits home for lots of people, but we really felt like this was a topic that really needed to be discussed for single moms because obviously finances are a huge concern, and there's so many different things that go into your everyday life, whether it be, making that car payment or rent or trying to figure out when you want to buy a house. And I know that there's child care payment issues for a lot of single moms, and for some court costs, and just a whole bunch of different things that people are navigating through and trying to get, to a good place financially. And so I guess the first one that maybe I would like to ask you is, I think debt is a huge thing that people struggle with, and it makes for a really difficult ride to get to a place of being able to save and build equity and, kind of get on their feet. So can you kind of speak into that a little bit?
Yes, I completely agree. I think that that is a very, very heavy burden on many people's hearts. Mm-hmm. And I think the most important thing to remember is you have to make a plan.
Yeah.
My suggestion would be take everything off of auto pay, request a paper statement so that you can see exactly where your money is going each month.
Oh, that's good.
Tools that I find very helpful are apps that track your spending, where you can link your checking account, your savings account, your credit cards if you choose to use charge cards. And it tells you what you're spending down to the penny. A nice budget tool is Excel. If you're not familiar with Excel, there are a lot of YouTube videos that can educate you on how to create a budget on the Excel platform. And I find that that's the easiest tool.
That's good. I like the idea of seeing it on paper too, because we are kind of in this paperless society where it makes things easier to pay online, but you're right, you're not really seeing where your money's going.
Well, and I also think that because we're so electronic in a sense and paperless in a sense, I think that's how people end up in debt, because they forget that their payment was due on the 15th because they thought they set up auto pay for this month, and for some reason maybe they knew they weren't going to have the money in their account, so they turned off auto pay and they didn't pay it. And
Wow.
Now they're 2 and 3 months behind on their electricity, and they're getting a final notice in the mail. So I think that until you're stable in your finances, the most important thing is to get a paper statement, so you know, okay, I need to write a check, or I need to push a button to send a payment this day.
That's good. Now, are there specific ways to tackle debt? So say you have several cards that you have a balance on. How do you recommend people handling that and tackling debt in that way as well?
One of the greatest tools I ever found or utilized was Financial Peace University. Depending on where you are in your state or your city, your church may offer, your local church may offer a Dave Ramsey program, and I really strongly believe that if you are in a situation where you have excessive credit card debt, you're going to want to start with the smallest and tackle the smallest and eliminate that, and then take what you were paying on that and break it up between your cards. Also, I know this is totally against Dave Ramsey's principles, but I also do believe in, if you do have the purchasing power or the credit, that you can open up a low interest or zero interest for 16-month card to transfer those balance and get it into one payment that you can pay each month. I find that it's a lot easier. And whenever I'm assisting friends or relatives with trying to tackle debt, I always recommend, applying for a card that they know that they can, transfer all the balances to and just tackle that one and put the other cards in a drawer or frozen into the freezer, whatever you need to do so that you don't utilize them.
That's good. I think that just seeing one statement come in a month is less overwhelming than having, 10 different credit cards. I remember when I was in my early 20s, I made some really poor financial decisions and bought furniture and clothing and the other things, and I don't even know where it went. I have no tangible things from that time in my life, but I had racked up like $13,000 very quickly, and
it's very easy.
It's really, it's very easy to rack it up, and it's really hard to get it down. It's kind of like gaining weight. Like, it's really easy to eat lots of food and gaining weight. It's very hard to lose it. But yeah, so I think that's really great advice. Just for, tackling it either in one credit card payment, if you can have that ability to transfer everything over, or if you can start with the smallest and kind of check it off your list, and that's really good.
Yeah, and always celebrate small victories, because I know people get so stressed about, money. Money is a big stressor for everyone.
Yeah.
But celebrate the small victories. If you pay off a $250 credit card this month, celebrate.
That's great.
Yay me, I did it, and work towards setting your next goal as to which account you want to pay off next,
That's great. Yeah, definitely celebrate the small things, because they all add up to be that one big thing that you're trying to achieve. So how would you advise someone who is, trying to get to this place of breaking down their debt, whether it be, on the one card like you suggested, or several small payments, and doing one at a time? How would you encourage them to be able to build a savings while they're trying to pay off debt? Because that seems like hard. You're trying to pay off this huge debt and still trying to stash. So how do you start? How do you do that?
Yeah. So I'm a strong believer in always paying the Lord and yourself first.
That's good.
So if you tell your money where to go each and every month, you'll never have to wonder where it went. So whether you're setting a $25, $50, or $100 saving goal each pay period, that's 26 paychecks for most people who get paid every 2 weeks, that they can either deposit $25, $50, or $100 into a savings. However, I would recommend that the decision on how much to save be made after you've taken a serious look at your finances and created a budget. Because once your budget is created, you're going to have that line item for savings that you're going to put, whatever description in. Like if you're saving towards a family vacation this year, or if you're saving towards getting new shoes for work, or new clothes for the kids because they're outgrowing their clothing. You're trying to prepare, for school in August,
That's good. That's really good.
And that kind of ties into setting goals, because if you set the short-term and long-term goals, it can be for both you and your children.
Okay.
Because if a child is earning an allowance it's time for you to start preparing them to have a healthy relationship with their finances.
Oh, yeah, that's wonderful.
So if you're, like, for instance, in regards to my household, my son gets $7 a week.
Okay.
$1 for every day of the week.
Okay.
He gets that by changing the, he gets that by taking out the trash twice a week and bringing up the trash can in the recycling bin. He also gets it by sweeping and mopping. And he gets it by doing other chores that we have a nice long list.
Okay.
He earns his $7.
Okay.
Well, he's only allowed to spend 2 of those $7 each week. He knows that the $5 needs to go into his savings account.
That's great.
And he allots what he wants to save for. Like currently, right now, he's trying to save for a pop-up soccer net for the backyard.
That's a pretty large percentage to start teaching him, to save. That's great.
Yes and no. Because I think that if kids know a lot more, I think kids know a lot more than they let on. They know the value of money, even if they don't understand the value of money. They know that mommy and daddy, whichever way, go to work every day, and their money is used to take care of them.
Right.
So they know that, okay, if mommy's giving me $7 of her dollars every single week that she worked for, I need to work for them too, and I should save like mommy does. And it goes back to the principle of as you want to live by example. So you want to teach your children, this is the way that mommy is doing it, and I'm successful. So I want you to be successful. So follow me, please.
That's really great, and I agree with you. I do believe that money management and the understanding of the weight that money carries in our lives, and not that it's an idol, it's not something that we want to worship, but it helps us have the things that we need, and God blesses us with money, and so to honor it and be a good steward of it is also a spiritual practice, of self-control, really. I mean, I think back to the times in my life when my money and finances have been out of control. My life has been out of control also. And I think that also is something to teach our kids and to be mindful of ourselves, is that, are there patterns in our life where our finances get out of control because we are fixing our problems or our emotions by spending? And
I think that's very common.
Yeah.
They do say that there's retail therapy.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So, you feel good when you have a new pair of shoes or a new lipstick,
Yep.
And the same thing goes for children. They want to buy ice cream because they had a great weekend. So when the ice cream truck comes around the corner in the afternoon and they're playing outside, they're running into their piggy bank to get the money to buy ice cream.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a self-control, fruit of the spirit kind of thing that we all could, probably grow in, and needs to be passed on to our kids. Okay, so another one of my questions, and I actually had this a little bit earlier on in our question list, but what about getting on your feet when you have just maybe gone through something traumatic that cost a lot of money, or you just went through a divorce, or what is your advice for the mom who's in that place right now, who's just kind of in the middle of everything?
Yeah, so I believe that recovery after a divorce and separation is very tough. When you think of going from a two-parent household with 2 incomes to 1, it can be a shocker.
Yeah.
For most. If you're not having your income supplemented by child support, you're at it alone. You have to make what you're contributing, bringing in each month, stretch a lot longer than you ever had to. So I think the most important thing to do is, it really goes back to, your budget, because you know how much money you bring in each month. And some people don't know how much money they bring in each month. Not everyone has a set, salary that they're going to get on the 1st and the 15th. Right. Some people, if they don't work 40 hours, they don't get paid, if they only work 30, they only get paid for 30. So some people's budgets are going to fluctuate depending on what they earn.
Right.
But I think the most important thing to do is really lean on the tools that you have learned throughout life, you know, cutting back on things. You know, do you really need that extra $100 that you spend at the grocery store? Can you really make your budget $250 for the month for your family, depending on how many people you have?
Right.
You know, if you just take a look at the things that you need that are required for you to feed your children, to nourish your, you know, to provide them with nourishment.
Right.
I think that it's doable.
Yeah.
I know that it's hard. I know personally how hard it is to have everything taken away from you. You know, I went from a two-parent income or two-parent earning income household to my ex-husband taking everything from me and leaving with the clothes on my back. So I know what it's like to know that you are required to earn a certain amount of money to support half of the lifestyle that you have. Yeah. You know, because it's not going to be easy. It's going to take, you know, some time. Here I am. I'm 5 years out now, I believe. 5 years as a single mom, and I am not where I was 5 years ago, and that's by the grace of God.
Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit? Can you talk about maybe some strides that you personally have made financially?
Yeah. So financially, there has been. This is interesting because I've lived paycheck to paycheck when I first got divorced. I was working 2 and 3 jobs, trying to pull myself out of credit card debt because I had to charge to pay for an attorney. Right. I had to charge for this. I had to charge for that. I was charging daycare because daycare was half of what I earned every month just for my child. And at that point, my ex-husband was not going to support us. He was not happy that I left. He felt as though because I left, I deserved nothing. Wow. So currently, I've learned in the past 3 years, and you know, kind of connecting with women in ministry, that you can't support the lifestyle that you had. You have to forget about it almost in a sense. You have to say, okay, yes, I had a wonderful life when I was married, but God had other plans for my life. I need to buckle down and get myself together and raise my child as best I can. I need to raise him up, and for me, I now am to a point where I'm able to save enough money each year to take my son on a vacation. Wow, that's my goal.
So great.
I've eliminated nearly all of my consumer debt except for my car, and I'm tackling currently my student loans, and I'm hoping that by my end of my 5-year goal, which would be in 2 years, I will be completely debt-free. Wow. So that's just my personal goal.
That is amazing, Samantha. That's so huge. And I think that a lot of that has to do with your consistency and you setting goals and stewarding your money well and, like you said, making sacrifices. It's not just one thing. I think people think that paying off debt is like, oh, I just pay it off. No, or getting to a financial place of stability. It's not just about the money. It's about the emotional side of it. It's about, you know, self-control. It's about having goals, and there's so much to it, and you kind of hit on all of those things, and what a great place to be in now, to be able to talk about it from a place of you've kind of conquered it in a way, you know.
Yeah. And there are a lot of sacrifices that are going to be made in order for, or that are going to have to be made in order to achieve your goals. Yeah. So a good rule of thumb is to think you're going to have to cook at home. You're going to have to pass by Starbucks and make your own coffee in the office in the morning. Yep. You're going to have to cut back spending on things like that are really not required. You know, cable TV, internet at home. You know, most places that you go offer free Wi-Fi. So utilize the free services that are available to you. You know, go to the public library if you need to use the internet. You know, make the sacrifice now, because that $59, I'm not sure, I think it's about like $59, $60 a month that, or more, possibly more, for the internet, you know, that's $30 could go to paying some of that consumer debt that you owe.
Right.
And, you know, another one that is a kicker for me, and I see it so often, and most people that I assist come to me, they have this fancy new phone. They get a new phone every year when the new phone comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a trick, because you're buying a new phone and you're like, oh, yes, I have a brand new phone. I'm only paying $39 a month for it. You're paying $39 a month for the phone that you're borrowing from the company, and then you're paying for your cell phone bill on top of that.
Right.
So when you really think about it, you're almost in this, like, it's a cycle. Every year, when it's time to get a new one, you're back at that $39. You've never paid the phone off. You never owned the phone.
Right.
You're borrowing it.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't factor that in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so for me, as a woman, and I'm sure you'll understand this, the biggest sacrifice that I had to make, that was the hardest sacrifice that I had to make when tackling my debt and trying to get on track for where I wanted to be financially, because finance had been instilled in me as a child. My mother raised us, you know, she taught us how to budget. So when I became an adult, like you said, I was reckless, and I bought things I didn't need, and ended up in this downspin or spiral, in a sense. So I made the largest sacrifice as a woman, and that was to go without my hair and my nails being done.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal, because I decided that for 10 months, I had calculated for 10 months I could do my own hair and do my own nails, and I could pay cash for Michael's braces, which that was a large purchase for me. I was so nervous 2 years ago. How am I going to afford $2,000 for braces? And the insurance company was only offering me $950 to assist me. So I had a big $1,100 gap of, I didn't want to charge it on a credit card because I'd have to pay interest on that money that I borrowed. So I wanted to be able to pay for it. So I did my own nails, and I did my own hair, and I paid for the braces.
It shows such restraint.
Like that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's so counter to our culture, because our culture is very much a microwave McDonald's culture. We have, if we want something, we get it now. And we don't sacrifice anything to get it, but you sacrifice all those months the thing that probably you felt like you deserved, because when you're a hardworking mom, like, what do we want to do? We want to buy clothes, and we want, you know, our hair done, you know, and we want our nails done, and you just want to treat yourself, and you didn't treat yourself in that way so that you could provide later for your son in cash. I mean, that's amazing.
Well, and then you do it a lot for people, too, and you know what, Gina, in all actuality, I got more compliments when I did my own hair than when I paid somebody $180 a month to do my hair.
Isn't that great?
It was amazing. I was like, oh, you like my hair? Thanks. I did it myself.
Maybe I should become a beautician on the side.
Yes, right?
Now, I know that I've done the Dave Ramsey course before, and it's wonderful. It really is. I am a huge advocate of it, and if I would recommend it to any moms that are listening today. I think that everybody should take it, because it teaches you so much about the different facets of money and things that you might not think of, the emotional side of it and the spiritual side of it as well. I think it's about, $75 to invest in it, which it's worth it, because you're investing in your future. And they want you to care about what you're doing, and often we work harder towards things that we've actually invested our money in. But one of the principles that our family has taken away from the teaching that we learned is the envelope system. Do you follow that as well, or do you manage your money a little bit different?
So I don't use the envelope system per se, but I do withdraw cash every paycheck, and that is my spending money. Okay. So everything else, for the most part, is managed through my Excel spreadsheet and my checkbook, because I still record every dollar that I spend and balance my own checkbook.
But that's the only way to know where it's going, is by recording it, you know. That's one of Dave Ramsey's big things, is he says, tell your money where to go and know where it's going. And so you're doing that with the spreadsheet.
Yes, I used the Dave Ramsey's quote earlier in this podcast. If you tell your money where to go, you'll never have to wonder where it went.
That's so true. We do that with the envelopes have been really great for our family, and what we do is we take out enough money to put in like an entertainment envelope, gas, food. Food has the most money in it. And one thing I learned from, there's a woman on YouTube that I follow. I can't remember her name right now, but I'll put it in the show notes. But she gives tips for how to save money with groceries and food, and I follow her quite a bit because we have a big family.
Yes.
But we do the envelope system, and her theory is that you shouldn't spend more than $100 per person in your family per month on food. So if you have a family of 4, it should be $400. If you have a family, we have a family of 6, so we spend $600 a month, and we make it stretch, and you reuse, repurpose, but that whole cash envelope system changed everything for us, because when you touch money and you have to part with it with the person that's at the cashier, you feel it a lot more than you do when you stick that plastic card in the machine. You just...
Oh, I completely agree.
Don't you feel that way when you're like, oh no, she's only giving me $9 back?
Yes, I completely agree. And I also agree with the $100 per person.
Yep.
And I think that the misconception with people and spending for food is that they can't eat well for less money, which is not true.
Right.
Here locally, we have some wonderful farmers markets in Palm Beach Gardens. We have some great, my favorite grocery store to go to is Aldi's.
Yeah.
I get the most bang for my buck. I get organic produce there. I get gluten-free. I mean, everything that you possibly could think as healthy-wise is affordable on a budget.
Well, and even Publix has like...
excuses are.
Right, exactly. Even Publix has like the BOGO. And
oh, yes.
so you load up on BOGO. Right. Yeah, that's really good. That's excellent. Well, I have 2 more questions for you, and then we're going to wrap up. The next one I have is just your thoughts on tithing or giving, how you honor that in your life. And then after that, just what kind of advice would you give to the single mom who sort of feels stuck and out of control in her finances? How would you encourage her today?
So, I think the most important thing to remember in regards to tithing is, let me go back. So for me, it took me a long time to completely understand the importance of giving, tithing. Depending on who you ask, that's how they think giving or tithing.
Right.
Because I wasn't raised in the church. I mean, I found the Lord when I was in high school, so I didn't know. I had a job when I was like 16, and I didn't know I was supposed to be giving, but I was going to church. So I didn't know. And it wasn't until our church offered a seminar on tithing and gave us a book that I finally understood that you're supposed to take 10% and give it to your church. And I believe that, in fact, being a good steward of the resources that the Lord has provided to you, it's almost it is a requirement to give what you can. There will be some times that you can't always give the 10%. And we know as single moms, especially coming out of a toxic relationship, a worldly relationship per se, that you can't really afford it. But give something, fit it into your budget, because what you're doing is, I'm sorry, excuse me, I lost my train of thought. What you're doing is you're practicing your responsibility as a Christian. Yeah. So you're in a sense trying to not necessarily thank him, but actually, I think you're thanking him for the gifts, like your children, your house, the resources, because he has given those to us. We're borrowing them. Yeah. They're not ours, just like our children. Right. They may be your children, your biological children, but in reality, they're the Lord's. You're raising them, and you need to raise them to know who their true father is. Right. Are you raising them based on the importance of managing their money? Are you raising them on bringing the glory of God into their life? Are they, are you Are you grateful for the house that you live in that the Lord has provided for you? It's a resource that He's provided for you. He's provided it to you to foster new relationships, steward His children, and to offer it up to others who are in need.
Yeah, it's just trusting Him with what He's already given you, and saying, you know, I everything is yours anyways. You know, there's a scripture that says that the Lord owns a cattle on 1,000 hills. Like, He doesn't need anything from us. But by us opening our hands with everything that He's already put in our hands and saying it's yours, do with it what you will, God can multiply that. It's like that story of, you know, when Jesus asked the disciples to feed the people, and there was thousands of people there, and they only had 2 fish and a loaf of bread. And they're like, what are we going to do with this? And, you know, they offered that up. That was all they had. And God was able to multiply it through Jesus offering it up and surrendering it. And that's what we do, you know. We surrender what we have. We surrender not from our excess, but from our, oftentimes from our lack. And that's when God can do miracles.
Yeah, and then when you're giving the 10%, it's not just the 10% that you're giving to the Lord.
Right.
You're the other 90% that you blow on miscellaneous things every single month is already His.
Right.
You know, things like your talents, your children, like I stated before, your animals, everything that you own is already His.
Sure.
So we live in a world where material possessions and wealth are king. Yeah. But we have to remember that everything we own is not truly ours. It belongs to Him.
That's so good. That's so good, Samantha.
And I did want to touch on a scripture that relates to tithing, and it's Luke 6:38. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured onto your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. And like you said, you know, sometimes you're giving from a place where you don't have. And I think that is when you're really
see God move.
Showing growth.
Yeah.
You're really saying, you know what, Lord, I am so grateful for all of the gifts that you bestowed upon me. I'm so grateful, and I'm going to give you my last 2% because I have it this month. And the next month I'm going to focus and I'm going to work hard so I can give you 3%.
Yeah.
And realistically, that's how it is. It's a stepping ladder because I started at 2% was all I could afford. And I'm at 5%. And I go to 6%. And currently, Michael and I, between the two of us, we're at 7%.
Oh, that's
we aren't
so
at 10%
good.
because I still have debt that I'm tackling. And the Lord has put it on my heart to focus on my financial peace. And still making sure that I am giving Him as much as I can give.
That's so good. It's true dependency, for sure.
Yeah, and I think on your, sorry, I kind of got off track, but
that's okay. No, you're perfect. You're great.
What advice I would give to a single mom?
Yeah.
And the greatest advice that a beautiful woman I know said to me was, breathe, Samantha. Breathe. And I will say breathe and give it to God and pray and surround yourself with women who are stronger than you and who are weaker than you, so that you can build yourself up and build others up around you.
That's so good.
Because yes, you may be in a dark place and you might be struggling with something, but you might know how to iron your clothes better than your sister that's sitting next to you. You know, that you meet up with, and you happen to meet her in the grocery store. You know, you're going to meet people, and I always say, surround yourself with people that want to grow. You want them, whether you want to grow financially, whether you want to grow spiritually, whether you're just trying to get yourself out of that funk that you're in, just pray and ask God to lead your life the way that He sees fit. Because I think that so many times we're asking ourselves, why me, when God already knows what path He's laid out for you. You just went down the wrong road. So now it's time for you to let Him be the driver and you sit in the passenger side. Because the first time you tried to drive your life, it didn't work out right. But now the Lord is using you as a vessel, and He's going to take you through that nice straight path that you're headed on now, because you've been through the rocks, and you've been through the potholes, and you've been through, these things that these rocks that life has thrown at you, and you have come out and you have overcome it. So I always say, don't give up.
Yeah.
There's a reason for your pain.
Yeah.
We have a sister from our group that she's wonderful, Pamela, and she says, thank you for your pain, my sister. Thank you.
Right.
And she always says that there is a reason for the pain that you've went through, and there's going to be a rainbow on the other side of that stormy weather. So that's my biggest advice for
good.
mom.
That is so great. I saw a quote today, actually, that said, you were given this mountain to climb so that you could show someone else it was possible. And I think that is such a good quote, because just to live with, because everyone has something that they're climbing that's very difficult, that feels arduous, and like they can't see ahead of them.
Yeah.
And finances are one of those things that do feel incredibly overwhelming for some people. And, there is light at the end. And so thank you so much, Samantha, for talking to us today and sharing your heart on this and giving your wisdom. And I'm just thankful for you. And ladies, for those of you who have listened, we're thankful for you as well. And we hope you got something out of this today. And we would encourage you to take some notes from this message and maybe put some things into action, implement some today, and even contemplate seeking out the Financial Peace University through Dave Ramsey. So have a great week, and God bless.